just because you're born in a certain circumstance or situation or location or place, that should write your story for the rest of your life. That's not acceptable to me.
Welcome to another Citizens Podcast episode. Today we are in the beautiful mother city, Cape Town. And if you can't hear, the wind is blowing a gale outside, so apologies for any audio issues. We love Cape Town and we also love having you guests. Speaking of which, we have Fiona Tabraham, who is Chief Executive at CapaCiTi. CapaCiTi is a digital career accelerator and is changing lives and building brighter futures for unemployed youth in South Africa. So let's dive right in and find out how. Welcome everybody to another installment of the Citizens Podcast. We have a very special guest today, Fiona Tabraham. She's the CEO of CapaCiTi Digital Skills Accelerator, which is part of the Cape Innovation and Technology Initiative, which is Africa's oldest tech incubator. All right, so Fiona, welcome.
Thank you. Lovely to be here today.
Thank you so much. I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. It is full circle between me and you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to dive right in, but before we talk about the company, CapaCiTi and City and what you guys do, I believe that, an institution is nothing without the people, and we have the person that represents the people today, right? So if you don't mind introducing yourself to us, who you are, what you do for CapaCiTi, and how did you actually get to where you are today?
Sure. Thanks, David. It's an interesting story. I think my career and who I am today is not necessarily one by design, but one driven by passion. Passion for people, passion for young people, passion for talent, and the desire and drive to do things right by the young talent that we have, not only in South Africa but around the world. So I grew up in South Africa. I lived here till I was 19, and I then left South Africa, and I spent 25 years living overseas and doing various things, everything from milking cows to working in bars to pulling pints in pubs in the UK, etc., and then fell into HR. Recruitment, and then specialized in youth development programs, graduate training, apprenticeships, looking at career pathways, got really passionate about strategic workforce planning, looking at skills gaps in organizations and how you can build robust and well thought through development pathways for young people to build talent for organizations.
Wow.
So that's my passion. How did I end up here today? 25 years out of South Africa, I woke up one day and felt that actually what I did was amazing, but I was working for corporates and I really wanted to give back, and by chance got a chance to come back to South Africa, and ended up at CapaCiTi. Been here nearly 3.5 years, and it's been an amazing wild ride, but an amazing ride.
Amazing indeed. Wow. I mean, what a story. So just listening to your journey, it doesn't sound like your path was always nailed to where you are today, because you've done so many things, but at one point you realize, let's change course because I feel like I need to give back, and what you probably looked for different ways of doing that, and you ended at CapaCiTi.
Absolutely. I think coming back to South Africa after a long time away allowed me to really think about what the country needed, what the challenges were in South Africa, and what we as citizens of South Africa really needed to do to give back. And to me, the youth unemployment crisis in this country was one that's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me personally. It's not acceptable to South Africa. It's not acceptable to our economy. And I really believe that if we don't come together as citizens and individuals to try and make a difference, it's going to become a real challenge and derailer for this country. So, by fortuitous means and by various contacts, I ended up meeting City and being part of CapaCiTi. And it's just given me an amazing opportunity to put my passion for people and young talent, as well as my knowledge and experience of career pathways and development and programs, and really how to design talent pathways and solutions into place and create something that's been truly remarkable and amazing.
Amazing. I mean, I can attest to that because I've been following CapaCiTi for some time. And if we were to talk about everything that you guys do over there, I think we would need a whole series for this. So I know there's more to what you do than the term Digital Career Accelerator, right? In a nutshell, how can you explain exactly what CapaCiTi does? You know, the process of getting a young person from, the rural areas and putting them in your programs until you actually place them out there and the relationships you have with them. Can you explain it in detail for us?
Sure. So I think at the crux of what CapaCiTi does, we put the person at the heart of the program. So we work predominantly with unemployed youth and what we call digitally marginalized youth. So young people that haven't had the exposure and the opportunity to the networks or the peer support or the education or the digital tools that perhaps other more privileged young people get.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've then got to look at the potential of that individual. So we want to set people up for success. So we start with assessing the ability and the potential of a young person. And we assess their engagement with the digital economy. We assess their engagement with their own success and their own ambitions and where they want to go. And also whether they have the resilience to join a training program. We then, in an ideal world, work in partnership with a demand organization. So we will find a partner and we'll understand what it is that they need, what their constraint is in the tech industry, what their talent gap is, where they might take young people into the workplace. And we design a development program that not only looks at the technical skills, but also will support the young person in their development pathway, their professional skills, their self-awareness, their own belief in themselves, their communication skills, and all the barriers that we find when young people enter the workplace and we say, gosh, we wish they were more engaged, or we wish they asked questions, or we wish they had more of a voice, or communicated better. So we try to unpick some of those challenges, and we try to open doors for young people to give them an opportunity to grow and develop those skills.
Amazing. So this is over and above the skills that they're going to acquire. They also get those skills that I would say help them get some sort of social mobility. You provide all of that within the program.
100%, absolutely. So, anybody can teach a skill. A pure skills-based training program that can say, you start at this point and you haven't got that skill, and we'll tell you how to do it. We can teach you the theory, and you can learn about it, and you can get to here. That's only a very small part of the problem statement. You can teach a skill, but you have to apply the skill. You have to think about the skill. You have to be curious about learning. You have to understand what's the context in which I'm going to apply that skill, and how can I use my voice and use my networks and use my teams and learn together to be a holistic, rounded individual that would be work ready.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, what are some of the misconceptions that your candidates come with when they actually apply for your programs?
Yeah. So, gosh, from the candidate side, I guess it's going to be easy. It's definitely not. It's hard work. There is a misconception that somebody else is going to solve my problem for me, so I'm going to come and join CapaCiTi and they will find me a job because it's their problem to find me a job. But we work very hard to try and create agency and accountability with the young people we work with. We can open doors, but we can't make somebody walk through that door. So the misconception of we're going to solve everything for them. The misconception of I'm just going to sit here and do nothing and earn a bit of a stipend and then walk away at the end of it with, just a bit of money in my pocket. Yeah, don't come to CapaCiTi if that's the way you think. It's not going to work for you.
Nicely put. I actually have some numbers here I got from a credible source, and I'm assuming these numbers exclude those that came in thinking, I just need a stipend, because obviously they wouldn't have the passion and therefore they will fall off along the way, right? So in 2018, you had a 3-year plan that your company wants to train or skill plus minus 2,000 young people, right?
Yeah.
And when I look at the stats now, you have trained 2,268 to date, and you've created 3,363 employment opportunities in this time frame. I don't know, impressed is an understatement. So well done and congrats. I don't know how you feel about that. These are amazing numbers. I would like to know, what was the journey like when you sat in that meeting and you said, guys, 2,000 is the number, we can do it. I mean, with obviously the unpredictable economy that we're in, whose idea was this? And just were there any hurdles, any stumbling blocks that made you a better organization today? Can you take us through the journey a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So firstly, gosh, we've learned some lessons. We didn't always get it right. In fact, we got it very, very wrong in the beginning. We came into this program thinking everybody needs IT skills. Goodness me, any newspaper you read, they say, IT skills in South Africa, it's the biggest crisis, we need to get more IT people. But what we didn't read too much into, if you actually read below that, you get what type of IT skill and at what level. And so the skills gap, or the constraint that we find in South Africa, is generally at experience level. So we're talking about people 3 to 5 years plus experience. And that creates at the moment a constrained middle. So if you can't unlock that management level, you can't then unlock entry-level jobs.
True.
So our thinking at the beginning was, let's train people in Java skills. Fantastic. The world wants Java skills. Everyone's going to hire them. And the reality was that wasn't the case. You can't train somebody in a very short period with a set of skills such as Java coding to be market ready. So we really had to think deeply about how you did that. We also started off without any campuses or we didn't run the training ourselves.
Really?
Yeah, we worked with partners.
Wow.
We were a small project management team that was facilitating the development of young people, and we actually realized we felt very passionately about how it should be done, and if we didn't do it ourselves, we had less control over it.
Of course.
So from the first programs, we learnt a lot. We got a lot of feedback from our candidates, not always good. We took that on the nose, and we heard what people were saying, and we then created our own campuses. We've got 350-seater campuses across Cape Town and Joburg. We brought online an e-learning platform. We created our own training materials. We invested heavily in our soft skills development program and our work readiness programs. So those are definitely some of the lessons. How we've done it? Well, we couldn't have done it without our funders. We're a not-for-profit organisation, so we work extensively with partners. National Treasury Jobs Fund being a very, very important and special partner of ours.
Shout out to Jobs Fund.
Shout out, absolutely. Without them, we couldn't have done what we did. We couldn't have scaled up. Mm-hmm. But also local government, City of Cape Town, again, big shout out to them. They've been amazing. And a number of other corporate partners that have come forward and worked with us. The support we've got from our funders has been amazing, and we couldn't have done it without them.
Amazing. I have more numbers for you, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I just want to get the numbers out the way, then we can get to maybe the meat. Another intriguing number to me was that 65% of the jobs you created were IT related, right? That really hit me, because I know a lot of learners that go to institutions and they study, but when they land a job, it's something completely different, right? And it's very stressful, and I read that 10% of your learners are placed in leadership positions, 98% are black and colored, and 47% of them are female youth. Are these numbers important to you? Do they mean anything?
Very, very important to me. Firstly, if we address females in the IT industry, very, very underrepresented. Being a woman myself, being a women leader, and actually I'm very privileged to have many people in my team in leadership positions who are also women. So we're passionate about supporting women. We're passionate about creating opportunities for youth in general, but youth that are marginalised or excluded, and that predominantly, sadly, in South Africa means black youth.
Yeah.
So very much from our strategy, we those are our target audiences. We want to close the gap. I don't believe just because you're born in a certain circumstance or situation or location or place that should write your story for the rest of your life. That's not acceptable to me. So,
True.
So you know, then therefore we need to think outside the box, and we need to actually support young people that maybe haven't had the greatest few pages of their story so far, if we're going to keep the analogy, and actually rewrite that. Let's rewrite the future for them. So yeah, those numbers are important to me, and we're very passionate about them.
Amazing. Those were powerful words you just said there. Your circumstances shouldn't really, define you in a way. So I was looking at the unemployment rate today. It's very high. It's standing at 36%. It's a huge jump from last year's 34.9%. And I think 66% of that is youth. Between the ages of 15 and 34, they're not in jobs, they're not in any formal education or training, and the numbers are scary because they keep skyrocketing, So I assume this is your target market, obviously, the youth, and it's a huge challenge for you, I assume, to place every trained candidate in a job, So how do you tackle that challenge? Because you train people, and obviously there's misconceptions that you're going to place them when it wasn't really the promise, but you still have to deal with the challenge. How do you tackle it? How do you maneuver through that?
It keeps me awake at night. I've got a lot more grey hair since I started in this job. It's something I worry endlessly about. If you take the unemployed youth in this country, if you add in the numbers of those who are no longer looking, they're so demotivated, they've given up. That goes up to around 75% of our young people that aren't working. Now, the future of any country, in my mind, is built on the young talent coming up. The youth plays such a vital role in South Africa, and not in just South Africa, in Africa. If you look at the age range of Africans in general, the vast majority of our population is young. So if we exclude young people from industry or opportunity or innovation or forward thinking, we're going to constrain the economy and the future of the country. So that's what drives me. In terms of how do we do it, crikey, look, we pull in every favor, opportunity, relationship, ecosystem, partnership, network that we can. We rely on it all. We've got an amazing network of citizens, people that have been through the City network, that are very supportive. We've got some fantastic corporate partners, and at this point I want to give a really big shout out to Accenture, who've been partnering with us on a particular program for Salesforce.
Shout out Accenture.
Excellent, thank you. Well deserved. Accenture actually trained their first group of 50 young people, and they hired 47 graduated, 47 passed their Salesforce certification, and they hired all 47 of those candidates.
Wow, what a team player.
Amazing.
Wow.
Those are the relationships that make a difference, because the people that we work with have the talent, and what we need is more corporates, more organizations, more startups, more scale-ups, more people who are passionate about giving up opportunity to young people to put up their hand and say, do you know what, I know it's hard work to incubate a young person, because it is, don't get me wrong. We can never produce the finished product in the time that we've got with young people, and we need other people who are passionate about developing the talent in this country to say, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to put some of my time in the bank to help grow the talent in this country.
Amazing. It's true. It continues to be work in progress. You can't. Hence, you guys don't let them go after learning. The relationship doesn't end there, right? You still keep in touch for the next 4 or 5 years to make sure you give as much as you can, and that is very important. And again, shout out to Accenture. We hope that we have more organizations like them. I feel like there's also a bit of an issue here, because we're dealing with institutions that want to help, but we might have young people that are not really ready. You did all you can, don't get me wrong, but they're still not ready. I don't know what happened within the process. They finished the process, but it seems like they're still not ready for the workplace, or they still don't know how to present themselves the right way. All the companies looking for a specific caliber. What do you think is the one characteristic that makes your candidates successful, and that put them to where they are today, especially the Accenture cohort?
Yeah, look, this is I guess, a fairly simple question on the surface, but actually it represents something that is a huge challenge. We've got to consider the whole person that comes to our program, and we've got to recognise that sadly many youth and young people in our country are scarred already by the experiences that they've been through. We talk about gender-based violence, we talk about safety in communities, access to data, access to infrastructure, being able to travel in and out of work, teenage pregnancies, alcoholism, drugs. There is a number of challenges that we see in the communities, and that gets reflected back in many of the candidates that we work with. So as I said to you, and I'm not going to sit here and say we've absolutely got it right, because we haven't. We learn every day. We learn from our candidates. We learn from the corporates that we work with and our hiring partners, and we can only get better and improve on it. But we've also got to recognise that actually some people just carry their own personal circumstances or their own personal challenges with them that actually aren't going to make them ready for the world of work. And they might have a longer journey to go until they are ready. They may come in thinking that they want a career in the IT industry, and they might learn coding and go, geez, that's not what I expected, really not for me. Fair enough. You've got to find the right pathway, and if I can talk to young people out there in terms of looking at their careers and what they're looking to do, try and understand what it is that you really are passionate about and what motivates you and drives you, and try and follow that pathway, because flip-flopping between different career pathways and different sectors and different opportunities, it's not going to add value to your CV or to your experience.
True.
It's really important that you engage with what it is that you're doing because you have a passion for it.
Interesting. Talking about, the circumstances, I'd like to paint a little bit of a scenario. This is purely because we were all affected by the pandemic and, the harsh lockdowns. But during the lockdowns, I was lucky to attend 2 of your cohort graduations, and they were amazing. I mean, that was a pipe dream for a lot of institutions, because people had put everything on hold. But you said, no, they deserve it. They worked hard. And I would like to paint this scenario. Here I am, young, unemployed youth, sitting at home in Khayelitsha somewhere, and I've become lucky enough to be enrolled in one of your programs. Suddenly, I have access to uncapped Wi-Fi. I love coffee, so free coffee the whole day. New friends, the lot. It's just beautiful. And pandemic hits, I'm back at home. My stipend turns into a salary for my family, and I have to buy data, install apps that I have to get familiar with. So how, at that point, what is your first mitigating move? What do you do to make sure that, because you clearly had to make sure they continue learning, hence the graduation. How did you do it? What happened?
We lost a lot of sleep over the first few days. A bit of a panic, a bit of a crisis, disaster management sort of mindset.
Yeah.
Look, we knew it was such a dramatic change in people's circumstances and people's lives. One day we were coming into the office and the workplace in a lovely, safe environment. The next day we were like, we're shut up at home and we can't go out for the next, I don't know how long it was, 3 months or something ridiculous like that. We tend to forget about how awful it was. But, that's fine for me to go to my house where I've got Wi-Fi and data and nice TV and all those things. But, a lot of our youth, 65% of them are township-based.
Yeah.
So we had to consider the environment that they were in, and then ask ourselves, but what can we continue doing? And what's the need? And what can we provide during this period? So some simple interventions. We were, again, very, very lucky that our funding partners were able to give us a little bit of additional funding to be able to secure laptops for those that didn't have those. We bought data packages, and we made sure that all of our candidates got a data package.
Nice.
We translated a lot of our materials into small bite-sized chunks that could be sort of downloaded on mobile phones. So that, a lot of our young people that could afford a package that maybe had cheaper access in nighttime could download something, work on it offline during the day, and then upload the results at the end of the day. Okay. we implemented more one-to-ones and more support networks and more conversations around how are you feeling and what can we do to help you. All of our youth were migrated onto Teams platforms and WhatsApp platforms and communication platforms so that we just continued talking to them. And we also put in place things like journaling and storytelling and talking about your feelings and what can we do and what can we help you with. So we actually didn't miss anything. I think if at most we were down for about 5 days. And we continued with the training and we continued with the education and we continued with the conversations throughout the whole period.
That's really amazing. I mean, I'm sure you had to move mountains and you probably didn't move them alone. So I don't know what kind of team you have, but you sound like you have a super team.
I have a super amazing team. Yeah. My team is just phenomenal. They not only are smart and bright and can do all sorts of amazing things, but they also, they put up with working with me. They put up. Definitely put up. I'll come into the office and I'll go, hey, guess what? Let's do. And they're like, oh no, okay, cool. So they're phenomenal. I mean, really, my team are the best.
Incredible. Back to the issue of funding, right? If there is an institution maybe similar to yours or not, and they really want to give back or make a difference as well, but they're saying that their main issue is funding, or maybe the knowledge of how to go about getting funding and where to get it. Do you have some advice for that kind of institution?
Yeah, absolutely. Call me.
Call you, okay.
No, look, there are multiple ways to get involved, some of which involve funding and actually paying for the training development. There's multiple government and legislative support networks. So there are things that, the skills the money that you spend on skills can be written off against tax bills and things like that. So there's opportunities from that perspective to actually make it very cost effective for organizations. But that's if you're looking to pay or invest in skills development. If not, just hiring an intern can make a difference to that person's life. Coming in and spending time with CapaCiTi to talking to our candidates and sharing your story and sharing what happens in your world of work and what happens in the world of IT helps, because you're painting a picture and you're creating an environment that people have not experienced maybe. Telling our story, sharing what CapaCiTi does with other people that may be interested. We often have a lot of candidates that are funded, but they're just looking for workplace experience. So you can take a candidate on at no cost to yourself.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's amazing.
So you continue to pay the stipend.
Absolutely.
And the company just takes them as a free employee.
We call them host employees. So we manage the payroll, we manage the contracting, all that, and the company gets to just host them and work with that young person to develop them.
Wow.
But we also, the other thing CapaCiTi does is we work on problem statements. We work on real life scenarios for our candidates to work on in a learning environment. So, even if you can't take somebody, even if you can't share your time, even if you can't fund a program, maybe you've got a project out there that you actually really want a number of people to work at, to come up with solutions or ideas, give us a shout. We're always interested to hear what you're doing and maybe what our candidates can do to help you.
So even if it's not a tech-related company, they could reach out to you and say, hey, this is what I do and I need a couple of young people. Do you have, I don't know what you call them. We can't call them free employees.
Talent. Let's talk about young people as being talent.
Talent.
We undervalue young people so much in this country by saying here's free resource. And then people think, oh gosh, well there's so many unemployed youth. Let's just it doesn't matter. We don't need to do anything with them because there's so many. They just become this sort of like group of, unknowns. But, they're talented young individuals. So let's talk about talent, I
mean, some of them landed leadership positions. So we can't just call them names. They're talent.
Absolutely. And I think I never answered your question about people in the IT industry and the numbers that we put in the IT industry.
Okay.
We're proving a point that if you give the right support and you give the right learning pathway and you understand the need of what a company needs enough, we can actually create people who have the skills. We can train young people in IT skills because they're sharp. They want to learn. They're bright. They're inquisitive. They're curious, and they're determined to actually succeed.
Yeah.
And so, with the right support network, we absolutely can place people in the IT industry.
True. I guess that sounds very easy, but what is the issue? Because I think we should be having a platform where we have access to your talent, and the companies are able to say, I need this kind of skill, and they're able to access it, and they can connect directly to you. Isn't some tool like that available, or a network like that available in the industry? If not, I need to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, look, there are a number of steering groups that actually are working in the industry. We're involved in a initiative called TechSit at the moment, which is a consortium of not only people like CapaCiTi that are doing development programs in the school space, the post-school space, and also in apprenticeships or internships, but also corporates and institutions and people that are passionate about growing the IT industry. And as a consortium or a group, we're looking at what are the constraints and what can we do to unlock those constraints. So you can get involved with initiatives like that. You can get involved in maybe speaking to your HR departments and understanding what you as an organization are doing to develop young people.
Okay.
There's a huge amount of money invested in learnerships and internships in this country, but I'm really sad to say not many of them have a lot of value. So unless you as an organization are going to engage with that learning pathway and engage with connect the skills gap and your strategic workforce planning with the development programs that you run, we're going to continue training people with no outcome, and we're going to continue having skills gaps in organizations because we haven't done anything about them.
Amazing. And are there any stakeholders or partners that you wish they could respond to the call, that you tried reaching out but you're just not getting any response over the years?
Wow. Look, that's a big question. I think I would love to work more with dev houses, software development organizations, organizations that are in cutting-edge technology but are growing and scaling up and really have a need for young talent. I would love to co-design solutions with them. I would also love to have conversations with the big, the Fortune 500 big corporates that really are spending a lot of money on skills but not necessarily getting a great result out of it. But we've also got to remember that we can't just rely on corporate South Africa to solve this problem. True. So we can't create the jobs for the millions of young people that are out there that are unemployed. It can't just be about job creation. We've also got to work in partnership with organizations that will support entrepreneurship or gig economy or hiring people for particular packages of work. Or potentially looking at working with us to create incubators, so putting the work in a central place. Rather than maybe setting up a team themselves to do it, we work in partnership with other organizations where we actually run pods or teams of people who are doing work for multiple organizations.
Okay.
So the young people get the experience within an incubated environment, so it's well controlled. The organization gets the work done, but they don't have to make the investment in actually managing and coaching and developing inexperienced devs or coders or whatever the case may be.
Wow. I mean, this sounds very lucrative. I don't know why not many people are jumping for the opportunity, but maybe with time, we just have to keep on, keeping on. Absolutely. And I feel like CapaCiTi is one of the most impactful companies out there that people don't know of, and it's about time that they know about you. And I wanted to close off with a few celebrations. I know you do so many positive things. You're part of a lot of impact projects that you probably sit here the whole day if you have to talk about all of them. And one of them is the Loan Free Initiative. That I'd just like to talk about that. It still sounds too good to be true, even for me. I'm sure it did for a lot of students. They probably thought there's a catch somewhere. But do you mind breaking down what is the Loan Free Initiative and why did you initiate it?
Okay. So I mentioned earlier that we learnt a lot of lessons from how we constructed things at the beginning.
Yeah.
Where we designed the initial capacity program, again, we designed it on the premise that there was a massive skills gap in South Africa for coding and software devs and those type of skills. So there was a presumption that there would be a big demand, train them and they'll be hired.
Yeah.
And so the concept of the loan was that we would loan the young people that joined the program the money to do the training, and when they got a job, they would pay it forward. They'd pay back a percentage of their salary back into capacity so we could then train more people in the same skills. What we heard loud and clear from our candidates was this leaves us with a burden and a debt and something that worries us and concerns us no end, because it's an anchor or something that weighs us down, because now we've gone into the world of work. It's been pretty tough to transition into the world of work. The salaries aren't necessarily at the level that we imagined them to be. And now I've got this other loan, this other commitment that I need to pay back as well.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit. And what we saw is many people losing their jobs. We realized that the small stipend that we were paying candidates actually wasn't just supporting that candidate, but in 75% of the cases was supporting other people in the family as well.
True.
And so we just didn't feel ethically that we could keep the loan there. And again, partnership with the Jobs Fund, great partner, listened to what we had to say. They listened to what we fed back to them.
Because they want the money back, right?
They wanted a sustainability element, of what we did.
Sure.
But yeah, they listened to what we had to say and they agreed for us to cancel the loan. So we ran an amazing loan-free initiative. We went out to all the candidates that we trained and we told them that we'd cancelled their loans. But not only that, there were a handful of young people that actually had paid back their loan in full. They'd grasped the challenge, they'd saved the money, they paid back their loans. And we didn't feel it was right for them not to be rewarded, so we actually paid them back the loan in its entirety.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was important. We had to do it.
It was
great.
I mean, who does that? I mean, it's really incredible. Are there any other celebrations that you'd like to highlight? I mean, it could be something you're part of right now or something that happened in the past.
I want to share the story of Capacity Cares as well, also a COVID initiative.
Okay.
Again, in partner with a wonderful benefactor who wanted to get a small amount of money into the communities that needed it the most. And we also wanted to give something back to our candidates that gave them a sense of hope or a sense of doing something for their communities.
Okay.
So we actually donated for each candidate that was in the program 250 Rand per person for them to buy something for somebody in need in their community. And we ran a project for them to tell the story about why they did it and who benefited from it and how we spread the love and the care across the communities. And the stories of not only who benefited from it, the people and the families and the old, young children, old people, there was such a range of things that went on and people that benefited from it, which is amazing. But not just that, it gave something back to our candidates. They felt valued and more worthwhile, and that they could actually have a little bit of hope and overcome some of the things that weighed a lot of people down. And the wonderful stories that came out of that were really, they were really a shining beacon in a time when all of us were feeling pretty glum and pretty down and pretty scared about what was going to happen. It was in the height of the pandemic and none of us knew where we were going to go. So it was a really wonderful thing for us to do.
Wow, amazing. And this is an ongoing thing? Is it an annual event?
It's not. I'd love it to be. So if there's anybody out there that would like to make another donation so we can do it annually, please feel free. We'd love to have a conversation with you.
They are listening. I mean, it's really incredible to put the candidates from a position of receiving, because they're there to learn and receive the stipend, to a position of giving back in a way, because that's what you guys do from incubation. Basically, everything you do is literally being like a mom. You take the kid in, and you give birth to them and you continue to nurture them, and now you put them in a position to give back. That's really powerful. That's really amazing. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you, yeah, and my team.
And your team, yes. I think that's our time, Fiona. I know there's a lot of things that you'd like to talk about. Is there any specific thing that you'd like to touch on that I haven't talked about today?
I think I really need to say a big thank you, not only to our funders and our partners and the corporates and the people that have put their hand up and taken young interns into their businesses. And I've said thank you many times to my team. I couldn't do it without them. They're amazing. But I would like to end in saying thank you to the candidates and the young people that we work with. I think, to me, to walk into our campus every day, to see them showing up, taking part, the enthusiasm, the drive, the passion, the heart that they bring into things. Wow, guys, I know a lot of you overcome amazing things just to make it into the campus on a daily basis. And we're here for you. We're here to open doors. We're here to create opportunities. We can't solve everything. We wish we could wave a magic wand and make it all better, but we can't. What we can do is drag them kicking and screaming sometimes, sometimes pushing, sometimes holding them back. We can create an opportunity to learn and to develop, and then it's really up to you, our candidates. If I'm talking to you guys directly, you guys to jump in and take the opportunity and thrive and run with it. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's kept me smiling and kept my hope alive and kept me going, because every story of success, every job received, every great salary earned, every person supported, every family that's been influenced by a change in someone's circumstances is amazing to me, and that's what keeps me going. So yeah, that's my big shout out and my big thank you.
Amazing. I don't want to add anything to that. That is beautiful. CapaCiTi on every social platform. The Citizens Podcast, everybody. Thank you.